It's the 1967 Indianapolis 500. Parnelli Jones is expected to slay the competition in his revolutionary STP turbine. But with only 4 laps to go, a $6 bearing shattered and ruined Parnelli's massive lead. Parnelli's day was over, but AJ Foyt's was taking on a new shine. The second place driver only had to finish the final 4 laps to win his latest Indy 500. But on his final lap, a voice in his head said, "Just be careful." At that moment, AJ did something completely out of character. He slowed down. This is a man who had built a career on being brash and going fast. But his gut told him to ease up. And sure enough, when he came off turn 4, there was chaos. As AJ said, "Cars were spinning everywhere. I didn't know who I was gonna hit." He didn't hit anyone. He made it through the crowd. When the dust settled, AJ Foyt was the winner of his 3rd Indy 500. How did this fiery Texan write himself into the history books? How did he manage to come back after career-ending injuries? And what made AJ Foyt so dominant for so long? Today on Past Gas, the life and times of one of America's most well-known drivers, AJ Foyt.
Past Gas Podcast. It's about cars, it's not about sports.
Big thanks to Valvoline for sponsoring this episode of Past Gas. Valvoline provides 24 times stronger protection against engine-killing water contamination than the industry-leading synthetic brand. Put Valvoline in your car today! Big thanks to Indeed for sponsoring this episode of Past Gas. Indeed knows that when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/PastGas to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/PastGas. Indeed.com/PastGas. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Big thank you to our sponsor this week, Rocket Money. If your New Year's goals are to manage your budget better and save money, you need Rocket Money. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/gas. That's rocketmoney.com/gas. rocketmoney.com/gas.
Welcome to Past Gas. Nolan's gone, so that was my voice, and that's probably why there were bits in the intro this time. I am James Pumphrey, as always, joined by Joe Weber.
What up?
And we have a special little treat in the building today.
Little treat, man.
Nolan's out of town. We don't know where. If you see him, please let us know. But replacing him is Jeremiah, who I like very much.
I like you too, James.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys don't know Jeremiah, he's a host on our main channel,
Hello.
our YouTube channel. He's 6'9", and he's got the proportions of Woody from Toy Story.
He has 6 doctorates.
Yeah, he works on stem cells, and he quit to.
Yeah,
And I quit to do this.
he can dunk basketballs.
Yep.
He's probably the coolest, handsomest guy I know. And
Oh.
I also happen to know Zach Jones. So, saying a lot.
That's saying a bunch. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I haven't been here in a while. It's been a moment. I don't think I've done with you guys, or done a
No,
podcast
you
with-
came on when James is gone.
Yeah, when
we
James
had a
is
good
out.
old time.
Yeah. I'm happy Nolan's gone.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah.
So I get to hang out with you boys. You're always having fun. Oh, also, I'm sure you guys have talked about your award, right?
Yeah, I think we thanked the fans a couple weeks ago.
Well,
but
congrats from me to you
On our
guys.
signal.
Jared.
That was sick.
Yeah, our gold,
Our Siggy.
bronze,
Our
road
bronze Siggy.
trip Siggy.
That's true.
So thanks for the listeners for voting. It was 100% listener voted. And so, hey, thanks for the hardware, guys.
Yeah, thanks to
You guys
my
deserve it.
girlfriend for voting. Couldn't be here without you.
Is your girlfriend a computer who like
Yeah.
just mass voted about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, you did some racing stuff yesterday, right?
I did. I got to ride in an Indy car.
Really?
That's super
a 2-seater Indy car
I've done that.
around Thermal.
Super
Really?
fun. That's where I saw Mario Andretti in his underpants.
Oh, that's
Whoa,
cool.
it's all coming together now.
Yeah, I got to
Super
ride.
fun. Like the transmission under your butt is like insane.
You
right?
can feel it like,
Wow.
shift really hard. It was sick, but you know what? It wasn't like we probably did like 165, 170.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel that fast because those cars have so much grip. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it wasn't scary at all. I thought I was going to be nervous because you're letting someone drive a potential death machine and you have no control over it.
Very roller coastery experience more than most car stuff. And it also doesn't register as a car.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're surrounded by stuff and
Right.
like your legs are up here.
So tight. Yeah,
So
it's really hard for tall guys like us to fit in. They're like, move your legs as far forward as possible. And I was like, they are. And they're like, no, they can't be. And I was like, dude, I'm 6'4". What do you want me to do? I can't.
That's
go any
impossible,
further."
sir.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, you know who was in Indy cars a lot? AJ Foyt. Anthony Joseph, or AJ Foyt Jr., was born in Texas on January 16th, 1935. He was raised in a neighborhood of North Houston called the Heights
That's my favorite sandwich shop.
by his parents, Emma Foyt and Tony Foyt Sr. The Heights was a tough neighborhood to grow up in during the 1930s. As AJ described it, right from a kid, you learn to take care of yourself, or someone would beat the shit out of you. Tony Sr. and his Air Force buddy, Dale Burt, ran a garage in their local neighborhood and soon had a shop boy in young AJ. After working on the weekdays, Tony and Dale would run their own midget cars on the weekends. AJ wanted in on this racing fun, just like his dad, so Tony built his 4-year-old son a ride. That's how AJ Foyt got his first car, a miniature red racer with a 1-cylinder Briggs & Stratton engine. Young AJ wore out the backyard in his little car, and the seeds of his racing career were planted. That's like Nolan. Like Nolan's dad got him a little race car. Your
A little
parents probably
drag
got you a
racer.
little
Dude,
nothing?
wanted my parents to get me a little race car. They wouldn't do it.
Just to be clear, Nolan had like a full-on drag
Yeah. He
car
was a
when he was a
junior
teenager.
dragster.
Yeah.
Like he was going like 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You
A
know.
nitro
Yep.
powered lawnmower.
Yeah. You want to see Nolan light up? Talk about junior dragsters. And
Yeah.
he like, booms.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh.
Let me tell you.
The moment Tony Foyt knew his son was really destined for greatness came 7 years later in 1946. Tony and Emma Foyt went to Dallas to race one of Tony's midget cars, leaving AJ alone at home with Tony's other midget car.
Can we call them little people cars?
Left to his own devices, AJ managed to get the Ford V8 powered car off its trailer and start it in the backyard. Tony Foyt described the scene when he got back. The grass was chewed up to pieces, and there were tire gouges all around. The swings we had in the yard had been knocked down. The only reason 11-year-old AJ quit his joyride was a blowback that set the car ablaze. AJ managed to smother the flames with his shirt, but burnt his hands in the process.
Oh.
As he later recalled, I reckon my ass was going to hurt worse when my daddy was home.
Yeah. In non-1940s context, that's very different.
Yeah. Now I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
AJ got the car put away, but the damage was obvious. Yet Tony Foyt didn't punish his son. He saw this as the birth of a star. I knew right then that he would have to race. There just wasn't going to be any other way. The next day I told him, if you want to race, all right, race. But I made him promise to always drive something good.
I like that you kind of use the same voice, but added a little bit more warble and age to it. And so it's like a direct.
His dad.
Yeah, yeah.
His dad,
It's
yeah.
like Mel Blanc doing like Elmer Fudd impression as Bugs Bunny. Like it's just genius to watch.
Thank you. You guys can't. It's an audio format, but I'm blushing.
Yeah. People didn't know they were going to get a master class in VO right now.
And
Also, this quote is so weird, by the way. Like, you got to promise me you're always going to drive something good. Like, no, I want to drive a crappy car. Like, that's a pretty easy promise. Like, sure, yeah, of course. What are you talking about?
I'll do my best. By age 17, AJ had dropped out of high school to join his father as a mechanic full-time. Stay in school, guys. While working on other people's cars, he began to dream of building his own. I decided logarithms and Wordsworth weren't going to help my racing career, so I quit school. Found a 1939 Ford Coupe for $100 and built it up into a stock car. And he soon made his way through the local stock car scene and did so well that his father saved up enough money to buy AJ a Curtis midget chassis, and then they got the car's 4-cylinder Offie engine off a friend's wreck. Offie engines are cool.
Offenhauser?
Mm-hmm. Going into his first major midget race at 18, with his dad and team behind him, AJ was one of the youngest racers on the grid. But the thought of competing against more experienced drivers didn't faze AJ for a second. He won it all. The trophy dash, his heat, the semi, the final,
everything.
The post-final, the Ultimo. He won the whole stuff. This kid from the wrong side of town managed to beat local hero Tommy Rackley down the stretch in a nail-biter. Kid walked away with the trophy, but Rackley, he wasn't happy about it. Neighborhood lore says that after Rackley and AJ went toe-to-toe on the grid, Rackley wanted to go hand-to-hand and tried to fight the much younger competitor after the race.
Oh, my God. You lost, dude.
AJ was unlike the other drivers he faced in several ways. His clothes stood out. While other drivers might drive in dirty T-shirts, AJ drove in a red silk shirt and immaculate white pants.
Like Jack White.
Because he says, I want the car and me to look smart. He looked so smart that other drivers started calling him Fancy Pants. He also came from a poor background in a neighborhood where if someone pushed you, you pushed back. Coming into the glitz and glam of 1950s racing, AJ felt he had something to prove.
That's cool.
Dude, silk shirt.
Dude, silk shirt, white pants.
I mean, that's a move.
I got a white racing suit for high-low, and I immediately felt so cool.
Yeah.
Did you get it dirty right away?
I don't use it.
Imagine if it was silk, where you're just like, hey, this stuff burns to your skin and it catches on fire, but I don't care.
Is that silk does that?
Yeah, like polyester silk, stuff like that. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, but answer me this. Your shirt made out of worms.
Worm poop. You got worm poop shirt? Didn't think so.
At 20 years old, AJ was traveling around the country picking up races wherever he could. His strength in midget car racing got him a chance at sprint cars. In his first IMCA sprint car race at the Red River Fairgrounds in Fargo, North Dakota, AJ ran away with the pole and the win. The very next day, small-time team owner Les Vaughn had AJ driving his Offie in Minnesota. AJ didn't have much trouble picking up rides after that, soon driving for duo John Wills and famed mechanic Wally Miskowski. Racing for them gave AJ even more chances at driving, and by 1958, it was time for the big show.
I said, damn, I'm sick of this little show.
I want to wear a silk shirt too, god. Pants and pants and a shirt. It's got a match.
It seems like you guys think he only cares about his attire.
I gotta live up to my name, Fancy Pants.
Some might take it as a slight. I am honored by.
I must carry this on.
3 years earlier, when AJ was 20, he and a buddy drove up from Houston to watch the 1955 Indy 500 from the grandstands. Now here he was, sitting behind the wheel of the Dean Van Lines Special for his first run in the Indy 500. The Dean Van Lines was considered one of the best cars in the field, a Kuzma chassis with a 274 cubic inch Offenhauser 4-cylinder engine. Jimmy Bryan had driven the car at the year's previous Indy and finished third. After Bryan left Clint Bronner's team, 23-year-old AJ was given the reins. AJ was the youngest driver of the race that year, and several drivers offered to show him the ropes, including the previous year's pole winner, Pat O'Connor. O'Connor led young AJ around the track for a few laps, which AJ never forgot. AJ managed to qualify 12th on the grid, but the race started in tragedy. On the first lap, Dick Rathman and Ed Elysian brushed each other off, causing a 15-car accident. Foyt was able to spin out of the damage, but sadly, the veteran who showed him the ropes, Pat O'Connor, died.
That's sad.
That is sad. Miraculously, no other drivers were seriously hurt in the pileup. On the next lap, AJ saw the flaming wreck and knew something horrible had happened.
I say to myself, AJ, is this tough or not? I raced on. What?
Is he talking about himself being tough or the race being tough or the profession? Man, this guy's an enigma. AJ had his own accident on lap 148 when a water hose broke and caused him to spin out, narrowly missing a wall. AJ was awarded 16th and a valuable lesson. The 1950s and 60s could be considered some of the most hazardous years for racing. Deaths were not uncommon, as AJ's first Indy 500 proves. But AJ wasn't going to let that fear stop him.
One reason AJ became so successful was because of his now famous relationship with his chief mechanic, George Bernardi. Yeah?
I've been naughty.
George
Listen,
Bernardi.
Santa, I've been naughty.
Bernardi hailed from San Francisco and made his name as a midget car mechanic in the Bay Area. He eventually made his way to IndyCar and was building rigs for the Indy 500 in the 1950s. Bernardi was a racing giant in his own right and one of the most successful Indy chief mechanics ever. But by 1960, George was sharing a pit with AJ, and the two helped cement their legacies together. Remembering George Bernardi, AJ recalled, "He was such a great mechanic, and he had such fast race cars, and I was just a snot-nosed kid coming up." A snot-nosed kid who could drive. In their first year together, AJ won 4 IndyCar races with Bernardi before the team went to the Indy 500.
That's a good mechanic.
Mm-hmm. Small hands.
In the 1961 Indy 500, Bernardi had AJ running a 1961 Trevis 3 chassis with an Offie engine. We've been saying Offie a lot. It's short for Offenheiser, which is a very famous engine manufacturer. The car was known as the Bose Seal Fast Special. Parnelli Jones and Eddie Sykes looked like early frontrunners, but an oil spill took out Jones, giving AJ an opening to catch up to Sykes. The two of them were neck and neck as the laps wound down, but on a scheduled pit stop, AJ's refueling mechanism malfunctioned. AJ would have to pit again, but with the way he was driving, Sykes never knew his competitor was at a disadvantage. The lack of fuel inadvertently made AJ's car faster, and he was able to use that to his advantage. Still, he took another pit stop at lap 184 to get a quick infusion of gas. Sykes was still in the lead until lap 197, when he pulled into the pits. AJ coasted on fumes across the finish line, beating Sykes by 8.28 seconds. It was his first Indy 500 win. The kid from the wrong side of the tracks drove strong, drove angry, and proved himself. And this was just the beginning.
I looked up Bose Seal Fast, so they were a tube repair.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that
That's their
car
sponsor.
tires used to have tubes in them.
Yeah.
We just drove on those like Model A replica tires,
Mm-hmm.
and we like blew one out,
Mm-hmm.
and a freaking tube came out. Just like
Yeah.
on a bicycle.
Yeah. It's like, what? That's weird.
So we made a video about it on our YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. But yeah, we put Model A tires on our Miata and drove it around thermal. And it was like ridiculous and kind of dumb, but it did make me want to drive an old race car like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like seeing the wheels in front of you is so sick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just, you feel like the Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
So I want to throw on like goggles
Uh-huh.
and a scarf and like a little leather helmet
Yeah.
that seemingly has no point to me other than looking cool.
It's for bugs.
It's for bugs. Yeah. If you crash, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
but
you're gonna. It's like open wheel racing when it was literally the most dangerous. Like, hey, we're gonna make the fastest cars we can, and your head is the top of it.
Yeah. Why don't we put a bar behind it?
No, it'll slow us down.
Yeah.
You got a head.
You got a head. Use it.
Your head is the top of it.
You got the leather cap on.
But that's, I mean, beyond like the leather cap and stuff, until very recently, like people were just like, wait, you don't want your head to be the top of it? I don't think I like this sport anymore. Like everyone racing today in F1 has raced with their head being the top of it and had to speak up and be like, hey, I don't really want my head to be top of it. and whenever you would say that, people would be like, you're not down, dude.
Yeah. I miss old racing.
Yeah.
You got an attitude problem, dude.
It was like when they were putting the halo in the F1 cars.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Like,
and like
so much backlash.
Immediately, like Max's car landed on Lewis, and they're like, "Oh yeah, good thing we had that there."
Yeah,
that would have been really bad if his head was the top.
So awkward.
The whole car would have smashed on his head. Yeah.
If you're loving this F1 bant, check out our other podcast, DRS Donut Racing Show. We talk a lot about the current Formula One season. It's about to kick off, so be sure to listen to that first episode.
Hosted by Nolan Sykes, who
you guys know.
I don't know where he is.
He gone.
Big thanks to Valvoline for sponsoring this episode of Past Gas. Did you know that Valvoline provides 24 times stronger protection against engine-killing water contamination than the industry-leading synthetic brand? You're probably like, well, how does water get in my engine? When gasoline burns, it produces water or condensation as a byproduct of combustion. New engine technologies like stop-start and shorter trips can make it even harder for your engine to heat up enough to burn that water off. And by the way, water is a terrible lubricant. Valvoline's synthetic motor oil encapsulates water to form a consistent emulsion to help protect your engine. In an industry-standard side-by-side performance test, Valvoline's full synthetic motor oil shows exceptional emulsion stability. The industry-leading full synthetic, not so much. I use Valvoline in my car, and you know who else does? Donut Racing's FD driver, Adam Knapik, also our shop manager. He's a great dude. He's a great racer. This guy can do everything. So go ahead and put some Valvoline in your car. You won't regret it. I use it in my car. Adam uses it in his car. It protects your engine. Thanks, Valvoline.
Big thank you to our sponsor this week, Rocket Money. Say goodbye to last year's outdated, disorganized methods of managing your money and say hello to Rocket Money, the better way to hack your finances in 2023. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. You know, I never really learned how to budget, and I decided that this year I'm going to actually try to do that, keep an eye on my expenses. So I downloaded the Rocket Money app. I connected all my, you got to connect your bank account, you got to connect your credit cards, so Rocket Money can track where all your money is going. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. I found 2 streaming services that I no longer watched, and I was like, why am I paying for the AMC app? Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/gas. That's rocketmoney.com/gas. rocketmoney.com/gas.
Despite their successes together, AJ and Bernardi clashed. The brash cowboy racer and his California-born genius engineer were constantly at each other's throats. These two men, excellent in their respective roles with huge competitive streaks, did not take any setback well. It was at the following year's Indy 500 where the two had one of their biggest blowups. Running in third to Parnelli Jones, one of AJ's wheels came loose and shot him into a scary spin. AJ walked away fine and right into the pit to scream at his engineer. Bernardi severed ties with AJ after that, for a little bit. By the next year, the two were back together.
Does that mean he quit, or does that mean he had enough pull on the team to be like, you're out of here, AJ?
I think he probably quit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was probably like, I've had enough.
He's from San Francisco.
I've had enough.
Dude, I'm telling you guys, you're getting a master class here.
Yeah.
I've had enough of your crud, dude.
I'm going back to Haight-Ashbury.
Going back to some real cool cats up there.
Yeah.
World's changing, dude.
I can't listen to jazz because I'm allergic to cats, Daddy.
You guys sound like San Diego guys. I don't even know what a San Francisco sounds like.
Hey, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, man. Later.
Hey, man. Later.
I don't really
Hello,
like your
goodbye.
attitude, Age. This wasn't my fault, man. Bernardi didn't take the outburst personally. AJ's temper extended to almost everyone he interacted with. This guy sounds great. Even from his early days in Houston to his starts in sprint cars, AJ was getting into fights. Here we go. I'm glad we workshopped this.
Yeah.
AJ's not, let's just say, the easiest guy in the world to get along with, Bernardi said of his longtime partner. But I guess we work better together than we do apart. One of AJ's most famous scuffles happened in 1963 in Williams Grove, Pennsylvania. AJ felt that another driver, Johnny White, cut him off on purpose during the turns.
Like in the
Isn't
turn?
that the point? That's like what you do in your race.
So what's your favorite part of doing the turns?
He didn't use his turn signal.
Yeah, I like doing the turns. That's the best part of racing.
Yeah, I
when-
love racing.
Yeah.
Doing the turns.
That guy cut me off while I was doing the turn.
I was trying to do
That's
the
my
turn.
favorite part.
Ugh.
Ah,
Like going fast. Officials later said that AJ punched Johnny White in the pits after the race and suspended AJ from sprint car racing. AJ disagreed with their assessment and went to the USAC board with a well-prepared defense. He was reinstated. To his credit, AJ didn't actually hit him. Instead, as AJ put it, I had him around the head pretty good.
What?
I was holding him all right, but I didn't hit him. Another driver who saw the tussle, Roger McCluskey.
That's a good name.
Roger McCluskey backed up AJ's account. AJ didn't hit White. If he had, he would have had torn his head off.
Whoa.
AJ can't hit nobody. AJ's too strong. If he would have hit that guy, he'd be in a friggin' airplane by now. AJ would not be disrespected. He had to make space for himself in a sport that wasn't made for a poor kid from Texas. His willingness to stick up for himself, rightfully or wrongfully, helped define his career. At the end of the day, AJ's ferocity was part of what made him such a great racer. As a driver, he was brave and willing to go for the kill.
When you said he was punched in the pits,
His armpits?
yeah, I was thinking armpits, and I was like, damn, that would hurt. If it had 4 wheels and an engine, AJ would drive it. With his start in midget racing and upgrade to sprint cars, AJ soon turned to NASCAR.
My daddy never liked me running NASCAR. He used to say, "You running those damn taxi cabs again?" But you got some pretty tough guys in that lot, and I enjoyed going in their backyard and trying to beat them.
Not with my fists, of course. I would have taken their dang head off.
They'd be on Spaceship Mountain right now.
it's not fighting if you just grab them.
I mean, like a lot of...
Ask Roger.
Roger was there.
Yeah, he saw it.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what. AJ would have just put a hole straight through his head if he would have hit him, man. So
I don't know, man. It looked like you punched him.
I don't know what more evidence you need. He's standing here.
AJ got his first NASCAR victory in the 1964 Firecracker 400 in a Ray Nichols Dodge almost immediately after his second Indy 500 win. A breezy race where AJ coasted across the finish line after leading for 146 laps in his Watson 4 with the Offie engine. But it would also be in NASCAR where AJ had his first major accident. In the Motor Trend 500, AJ's brakes fell apart. That's not good.
Hey, man, I put them together, dude.
Dude, Roger saw me.
What a weird way for brakes to fail. They just fell apart.
Yeah.
Well, they're probably drums back then, yeah?
Maybe. Yeah. What year?
64.
64.
Yeah. To avoid causing damage to anyone else, AJ drove off the track and down a steep drop.
Next thing, I was waking up in a hospital with a broken back, a punctured lung, a smashed heel, and several other bones broke.
AJ said, recalling the accident.
It was the first time I'd really hurt myself in a racing car.
AJ was told by the doctors that he would never race again. True to form, AJ refused to believe them. 11 weeks later, AJ raced in the Phoenix USAC from pole, only stopping because of an oil leak. And a week after that, he was racing in Atlanta for NASCAR.
It's like Bo Jackson. Deion Sanders.
Just flipping between sports.
Mm-hmm.
The story goes that during that race, he crashed his own car into a wall and needed a medical checkup. After the health crew deemed him fine, the Wood brothers subbed AJ into their car because their driver had passed out from heat exhaustion. So AJ won the race for the Wood brothers 12 weeks after being told he'd never race again. At age 30, AJ was dominating in almost every event he entered, even in the face of huge adversity. Part of his success came from his burning desire to win, and partly to give his inner child, born in the Great Depression, a better life. When asked in an interview why he would run 5 different cars 5 weekends in a row, AJ responded,
Well, I needed the money. I have some pretty expensive tastes.
Do you know how much silk pants and shirts are?
You know how much worm poop it took to make this shirt? They
AJ
don't
would
call me fancy pants for nothing.
also dry cleaning.
You dry clean
dirty
it.
right away.
It's expensive. Yeah.
You wear white stuff at the racetrack, you're going to have to pay for it.
AJ would take on races even with minuscule purses. In 1961, the same year he won his first Indy 500, AJ failed to qualify for a midget race at Terre Haute Action Track where the winner's prize was $600. Instead of packing it in, he paid the 25th place driver $100 for his last place starting position. AJ battled his way to the first place from last and took home $500 in profits, saying,
I figured it was a pretty good gamble.
yeah, I mean,
That's
you make
sick.
make 500, make $400.
It's just like hustle.
Yeah.
That mindset of no race too small helped AJ cut his teeth and fatten his wallet. By 1967, in his early 30s, AJ was already considered a racing legend, and that year, he'd kick it up a notch.
Nice. Here's where we pick back up from the opening with AJ's 1967 Indy 500. After Parnelli Jones's day came to an abrupt end, AJ was expected to have an easy path to victory, but a 4-car pileup just after turn 4 almost ruined his day too. If it weren't for the voice in his head telling him to slow down, his race would have ended 100 yards from the finish line. After that thrilling last lap, AJ accomplished what only 3 other drivers had done up to that point, a third victory at the Indy 500. And a few weeks later, he flew to France to run a different kind of race, the Le Mans 24 Hours.
What are these snails? Where are my steaks?
They got steaks in France.
Yeah, it's literally like one of their main things, isn't it?
Yeah, they love steaks.
Yeah.
They also love snails, though.
They do. They
Yeah.
do.
Okay, all right. You got us
Snakes
there,
and
Joe.
snails. You got it.
Maybe that's why he need to make so much money. You know, snails are expensive.
For his first time at Le Mans, AJ had been recruited by his friend Dan Gurney to join him at Ford. At about 2 a.m., when AJ's shift was supposed to be over, the pit crew told the driver that they couldn't find Dan to take over. So I had to go back out again, driving into the dawn when it's really dangerous because the fog moves in and you can't see. Man, I was tired. Dan was taller than me. His arms were that long. I had to drive stretched out to fit his cockpit position, and my arms were killing me. Dan told me later he was asleep, but I told him, damn you, Gurney, you did it on purpose, you son of a gun. Then I punched him in the atmosphere. After Mario Andretti's Ford crashed around 4 a.m., AJ and Dan had little trouble driving their car to victory. AJ had done what no other driver had done then or since. He won the Indy 500 and Le Mans in the same year.
Wow.
Damn.
AJ never returned to Le Mans, claiming that he didn't have anything else to prove.
That's
Kind of true.
big.
2 big ones in 1 year.
But AJ had more to prove elsewhere. Back in NASCAR, AJ was finding great success racing with the Wood brothers, Glenn and Leonard. Glenn and Leonard Wood. Glenwood sounds like a street name. The three shared a love of cars and money. Like us, guys. Right?
Cars and money. The Wood boys are speaking my language.
You like cars too? Oh, we should be friends. In 1971, during the Ontario 500 in California, AJ led the race but was battling a big vibration in the car. He told his crew he might have to pit, but Glenn Wood said,
AJ, this race pays $150 a lap in lap money. The vibration went away. We went on and won the race.
The team also shared a deep desire to win. AJ and the Wood brothers took home the 1972 Daytona 500 win after he led for nearly the entire race. He beat the second place driver by more than a complete lap, and the third and fourth by almost 6.
Jeez. That's embarrassing.
Dude, it's so embarrassing. Well, here he comes again.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing pretty good. I'm in third.
Right. The way they have the rules set up now in NASCAR, I don't think it's possible for you to have passed second lap and them not like get a what's called like the lucky dog. They get to come back around and unlap themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Back in the day, they were just like, oh, if you're going to be bad, you just deal with it because you're going to get lapped.
You can finish if you want.
AJ had been professionally racing for almost 20 years by this point and was still notching new victories. He had also become a reliable brand name for several companies in the racing world, including Goodyear Tires, despite not always thinking the highest of the company. He had also become a reliable brand name for several companies in the racing world, including Goodyear Tires, despite not always thinking the highest of the company. In 1974, on a bet with Parnelli Jones, AJ entered the Hoosier 100, a night race on a dirt track at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. That sounds like a pretty lowbrow for him at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't turn down a bet by Parnelli. He didn't feel like he was getting enough traction with his Goodyear tires alone, so he put Firestones on the back and kept the Goodyears on the front.
Well, I won both 50-mile parts, and Leo Mail, the Goodyear competition's boss, got really mad. And he said, AJ, you are embarrassing us. And I said to him, listen, the Goodyears came home first, and the Firestones chased them all night. And then he just high-fived somebody.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Fireworks went off.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Despite racing in every Indy 500 since his 1967 win, AJ wanted to win his fourth. He got close to the checkered flag in 1976 at age 41, but Johnny Rutherford was declared the winner after rain ended the race early. AJ took second. The following year, however, he'd have a chance to come back while driving a Coyote 75 with his own Foyt V8 engine. Foyt started in fourth place on the grid. After his car ran out of fuel early on, he was at least 30 seconds behind race leader Gordon Johncock. Nice.
Foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. But turning up his turbo boost, risking the overall health of the engine, AJ managed to gain back seconds on each lap. After the final pit, AJ was 7 seconds behind Johncock. Luckily for AJ, Johncock's crankshaft blew on lap 187.
My shaft! Someone blew my shaft!
With a 30-second lead on the next man, AJ brought it home and became the first 4-time winner of the Indianapolis 500.
Nice.
No one else has ever crossed that 4-win mark, but 3 other names have joined AJ. Helio Castroneves, Rick Mears, and Al Unser. What a group to be a part of.
Big thanks to Indeed for sponsoring this episode of Past Gas. Hiring for your business can feel harder than trying to get Nolan to stop talking about disc golf. It's impossible. But now I actually look forward to hiring. Why? Because I use Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do all that with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. I think Indeed is the best way to hire people because I've done it in the past. It's a huge pain if you have to just sort through everything, but that's why I like Indeed so much. It's like a one-stop shop. It's really great. The thing I like the most about Indeed is the Instant Match. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to US Indeed data. Indeed knows that when you're doing everything for your company, you can't afford to overspend on hiring. Visit Indeed.com/passgas to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/passgas. Indeed.com/passgas. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. AJ was still racing at an impressive level into his mid-40s, racking up wins in USAC Indy and stock car, and won the IROC title in 1976 and 77. But by 1981, AJ was forced to slow down. On lap 80 of the Michigan 500, 46-year-old AJ crashed into a wall off the second turn. The right side of his car was practically sheared off, and with it, a considerable part of AJ's arm. Ouch.
What is your idea of considerable? Any part of my arm is considerable.
Yeah, at least one of the arm bones. Because you got 2. You can do with one.
Mm-hmm.
He was knocked unconscious in the wreck and came to at the hospital. AJ had suffered a compound fracture, another career-ending accident. I mean, you could wear a cast, right? Come back in 6 months?
And he's 46 at this point.
that's
I'm sure
true.
he's like, hey, listen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can probably stop doing
Yeah,
this.
he's 46. It's also like the early 80s.
Yeah. I take off my silk racing suit, put on my silk business suit.
They would just like spit on your open wounds and be like, it'll fix
Yeah.
it.
Like doctors are like, good luck. You think it'll heal? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
50-50.
I mean, it's going to be messed up
Yeah.
for a long time, forever.
It's a waiting game at this point.
It's a considerable amount of your arm.
It would be his last race of 1981. But there was no way AJ's career was over.
Hang it up.
He went back to his home in Houston and regained his arm strength by painting miles of fence at his ranch.
Dude,
okay.
that's the most friggin' Texas way
Yeah.
to like rehab. Hey, you want to go into this rehab facility? No, I'm just
Nah.
going to paint fences.
I'll
I'm
just
going
go
to slaughter a bull and paint my fence with his blood. AJ returned to NASCAR the following spring and kept up his multi-decade Indy 500 qualifying streak that May. The Indy qualification was bittersweet, however. Though AJ was glad to be back driving, his mother, Emma, passed away the night he qualified. He would go on to drive in the race, but the loss of his mother was a painful one. Sadly, 2 years later, also on the same day that he qualified for the Indy 500, he lost his father, Tony, to cancer.
Weird, isn't it? The way they both passed away.
AJ recalled.
They lived to see me make the race, and that was it. I came home, talked to them. They closed their eyes.
I mean, it's not that weird. You're racing every day. Like, it's going to happen. Significant things are going to happen when you're racing because you're doing it all the time.
Sometimes like 5 times in a weekend.
Dude, don't take this
Yeah.
away from AJ, Joe.
Sorry. It's weird. Sorry.
This is like crescendoing into a very heartfelt moment, and Joe's just like, "Well, the numbers mean that like it's bound to happen."
What
on
are
one of
the
those
odds,
days."
though? What are the odds?
Very
you know?
good. Very good odds. AJ's family had meant so much for him for so long. His father had even become his chief mechanic. Despite AJ's tough guy persona, he cared deeply about his family and the loss of his parents, who were there for him in so many ways, and he found it difficult to power through.
Just, like both of them. Like, I had lunch that day.
It's funny, right?
What are the
Yeah.
odds?
AJ's last major career victory came right after his 50th birthday in 1985. Co-driving with Bob...
This guy's still going? Jesus Christ. Not the guy
50 years old?
He's 50 years old. We've said 14 times now that he's had career-ending injuries.
Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like we've been lying.
Co-driving with Bob Wellick in a Porsche 962, AJ won the 12 Hours of Sebring and became the only driver ever to have won the Indy 500, Daytona 500, 24 Hours of Daytona, 24 Hours of Sebring, and the 12 Hours of Sebring. Though AJ would keep racing for nearly a decade more after the Sebring win.
This is a joke, right?
Into
You
his
guys are
60s?
just screwing with us.
Like, cars are so different.
Yeah, I know.
Over a 60-year span, cars change
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much.
Ferdinand Alonso's like 39. We're like, okay, Grandpa, one more year.
Oh, gosh.
LeBron James is my age, and
Yeah.
like people are like, he is so old.
He's over the hill. Do you see his hairline? That means he can't play basketball because his hairline.
Yeah.
He would never have the same level of success he saw in his earlier days. As journalist Preston Lerner for Haggerty put it,
Foyt tarnished his reputation by continuing to race until he was well past his sell-by date. A lot of fans were familiar with Foyt's exploits without appreciating why he's a legend.
although he wasn't winning like he used to, he still had the same fire in him.
I guess back then, I just lived from race to race. Even if I ran in second and felt like I could have won, I'd be disgusted with myself until I won another race. What do you mean back then? When you were 60?
That desire never went away, and so AJ kept racing. One of the scariest moments in AJ's career happened during a kart race at Road America in 1990. Racing from the back of the grid, AJ tried to make up speed coming around turn 1, a 90-degree turn off a long straightaway. But his brake pedal broke away from underneath him. The car skidded off the track, past the catch, and down a hill. Not his first hill. This time, AJ was conscious for the whole thing.
I thought to myself, this is going to be bad. And it was bad. Took them 45 minutes to cut me out. I got so bored. Both my legs were broke. My feet were back on my face. My toes were all crushed. Everything was screwed up. But I never lost consciousness. I said to the race doctor, you got a big hammer? Hit me over the head. Put me out of my misery.
That's pretty funny.
His toes were by his face?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
everything was
saying?
all up.
Jeez. If the next paragraph says that this guy heals and races again.
Does probably.
Again, there was talk of retirement. With an accident this violent, it was hard to imagine AJ walking right, let alone racing again.
They talked about amputating one of my smashed legs, but 8 months later, I was back in Indy.
Oh my God.
This
AJ
guy
said,
can't quit.
They were expecting me to be in a wheelchair or at least on crutches or riding around a big dog or something. But I managed to walk to my car, managed to get myself in it, and I qualified in the front row.
What?
the hell, man?
That's nuts.
Drivers know the risks anytime they get behind the wheel. And in AJ's time, there was a lot of risk. Yeah.
Yeah. You went through 6 decades of race cars.
And crashed in every decade.
Yeah.
Was about to retire.
Yeah.
And then hobbled back to the starting line.
Don't have enough.
They need like tire warmers for all his joints. It was like,
He's like the knight from Monty Python.
yeah.
Yeah.
He came up in some of the most dangerous years to be a driver and managed to make it through them.
Back then, a lot of my friends died.
AJ said in an interview.
You had to be brave or you weren't fast, but you didn't win races by being stupid. If you ran out of brains, you got killed. Or you lay looking at a hospital wall for a long time. I've got false knees, false hips, burns, scars all over my body. I guess I paid the price. The price for always wanting to win.
AJ finally retired from racing full-time in 1991. Yeah, round of applause.
Good job.
Though he would make a few appearances over the next few years, including the 1992 Indy 500. Come on!
I clapped. What the heck? You got me.
Including the 1992 Indy 500 in his 35th consecutive start the most anyone has ever done.
That's pretty impressive.
Now, despite his upbringing, despite his accidents, AJ Foyt wrote history that drivers today are still aspiring to. AJ will be remembered as one of the greatest racers of all time. His success across midget cars, stock cars, and sprint cars is almost unparalleled. His personality is as famous as his driving, and his temper as vast as his skills. And in both cases, he had competitors beat by miles. AJ's underprivileged background helped define his future goals, but he wasn't going to let himself stay there. As his career progressed, people would say that AJ was obsessed with winning. Yeah. But when asked about this by Sports Illustrated, AJ responded, "Obsession? Who, me? I'm not driving by obsession. If there's a driving to be done around here, old AJ will do it himself. Obsession is going to have to get a car of his own." What?
What the
AJ's ethos was less win at all costs and more get out in front and stay out in front. And that ethos paid off. In his own words, "It's been a wonderful career. I don't think nobody's had a greater, better career than AJ Foyt." He's like Dewey Cox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got a little fan mail. This comes from Drake. Oh, sick.
Oh, nice.
Oh, thanks,
Nice.
Drake.
Didn't even know he listened to the show. All right, cool.
Drake from Brazil, Indiana.
Brazil, Toronto is Toronto.
Oh, it's North Indiana.
Brazil, Indiana, Toronto.
Oh.
That's where Drake's from. Hey guys, just needed to tell you guys I love the show and I've been listening every week since I found out about your podcast. Thanks, Drake. Now onto the subject of this email. Around episode 145 or 150, it was sort of a running joke that James always had to read all the deaths and that he has read about 90% of all these deaths in the show. I revisited every single episode of Past Gas from the beginning, and I am here to give the closest numbers
What?
I can to the actual amount of deaths each host has read.
This is 200 hours of research.
Over.
Get this guy a job.
Please keep in mind, this list is extremely subjective, as it was up to my judgment on whether or not a death would count. For example, in the very first episode, when James read that over 600,000 Italians died in World War I did not count it, as it was not an exact number, but I did count things like the death toll at Fordlandia rose to 270 in 1930. Also,
Wow.
if a host read a death and then another host mentioned a death later in the episode, I would count it for both of them.
Whoa.
Okay. Fair.
Okay? It's fair. However, if James, for example, read the death of Enzo Ferrari and then mentioned it a second time in the same episode, I would only count that death once.
Valid.
Okay.
Finally, I would count the same death multiple times as long as it was mentioned in separate episodes. For example,
Wow.
Henry Ford's death has been mentioned several times throughout all the episodes of Past Gas, and each time it was read, as long as it was in a separate episode, it would count.
Oh, my God.
Now, on to the numbers that I have as of episode 171. Do we want to start lowest to highest?
Start low, yeah.
Jeremiah, you've read 2 deaths.
Nice.
Which is a lot considering the number of
You've been
episodes
on
that
one
you've been
time
on.
before
Yeah.
or 2?
2, I think. Yeah, I'll take it.
Joe, you've read 186 deaths.
Wow. That's
a lot.
also surprising because I feel like I've only read, like been a reader 2 or 3 times.
Oh, it says mentioned death.
Oh.
Yeah. Nolan got the first 2 deaths. He's at 898. And James, has 1,253 death mentions
Yeah.
in this show. Thank you guys if you took the time to read all this. And I will also send a follow-up email at episode 200 where I've decided I will finally stop counting and set myself free from focusing on all the deaths in Past Gas.
Please stop.
Yeah,
I will also include episode ideas that I have that I won't include in this email because it's already pretty long. Love from Brazil, Indiana, Drake.
Drake, I am
Dude,
at a loss.
That's
right
a lot
now.
of work,
That's
man.
a lot of work, man. I feel like we should send you like $75 for doing that.
Like you should get a degree.
Yeah.
Like you should get some
You
sort of
should get-
certificate.
You're the honorary
hobby.
statistician of past gas.
Like
Yeah.
that, you should get college credits.
Yes.
Mhm.
For
We'll-
all of that effort.
we're sending you 1 college credit.
Yeah, you
Bam.
get 1 college credit, Donut University. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. Follow the boys at Jeremiah Burton, at Joe G. Weber. Follow me at James Pumphrey. We have a YouTube channel called Donut Media. We also sell a bunch of shirts and stuff, donutmedia.com. Yeah. Bye.